One-on-One with Scooter Gennett, brought to you by Quick Trip.
Well, there was a plan to this season when it started and all this kind of stuff, but as guys start to kind of disappear on you, these are your friends too, as you go along here. Is it strange, like, oh, Will's not here today, Jonathan's not here today, all that? I mean, you're not old, but you're kind of a veteran presence now, and you have to be a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Last year we had a little bit of that too towards the end of the year with Gomez and Aramis. But this year was a little different. Those guys like JJ and Will, we all kind of, not so much came up together, but all had similar time in the big leagues, younger guys that, didn't, have huge contracts and that kind of stuff. So it was a little different. I wouldn't say it was unexpected, but like you said, they're our friends, they're our teammates, and Jonathan, the presence that he had on our team was huge. He impacted our team a lot, not only from being an all-star catcher, but also being a leader in the clubhouse, and an example of just how to go about your business. So we definitely miss those guys, and it's just you gotta try to take advantage of the time you do have together, because you never know in this game. Even after the trade deadline, guys could still go. So it's a little different, but it's something that we're used to, and something that I've seen before. But this year it was a little different. Those guys that don't have those huge contracts, you don't really expect them to go anywhere.
Right.
So that was a little different this year.
When does it go from, man, my friend is left, to, man, did we get enough for that trade, where you're assessing these guys? You can look them up real quick to see how good a prospect somebody is, where the business, because you have to look at the business aspect of it too. Mm-hmm. Did you find yourself evaluating the trades and saying, hey, all right, we did all right, despite losing this guy I've had this relationship with for 5-6 years?
Right, that's one piece of it. When you lose these friends, these guys that have proven themselves at the big league level, you're like, man, we better got somebody good, and that's where social media helps out a lot. We get updates on players. We're able to find links on their video and stuff like that to kind of do some research, and it doesn't take long. So if you don't really do it, then you don't really care too much. But I took some time and looked up some of the guys that we have or that we got, and they look pretty good. We went from a few years back when I was in the minor leagues to one of the worst minor league systems ranked, which I don't know if I necessarily agreed with that, because I was a part of the minor league system. But now we're number one. So obviously we've made some good moves, and all that credit goes to Stearns and our front office, and also the players that we traded. Obviously they made that much of an impact, in the game to be able to get some guys for them that are good and have a future that our front office thought was worthy enough for a trade.
How do you keep from being kind of self-involved or selfish on it a little bit? Because when Arcia came up, they could have said, well, we want to see if VR can play second. We want to see, because Hernan was getting his opportunity, and sometimes organizations fall in love with a player no matter what you're doing, and obviously VR is having a great year. Was there a nervousness there? You got to start thinking, I'm trying to build something here, but they could decide to give let's give him a 35-game audition, a 40-game audition at second base, and then you're looking like A-Rod in the dugout. That's, no offense to A-Rod, but did that pop in your head? I wonder what they're going to do, or what is it like?
A little bit. That's one thing that keeps me going is somebody's trying to take my job, whether it's a guy that's already in the big leagues, whether it's a guy that's coming up. That's a reason that me and a lot of us go out and work hard every day. But we don't worry about it too much. Obviously, they were going to make some type of move in that situation that happened, but they didn't so much talk to me, but they talked to Hernan, they talked to VR about going to third. So those were things that we kind of already knew before Arcia came up. So I really wasn't too worried about it. But like I said before, I mean, at any time, if I'm not doing my job or if I'm not showing them enough out there, then they'll move somebody in to take over. It's it's a part of the game. It's a part of the business side of it too. So you just never know. That's why you got to go out and work hard every day.
And I guess the nature of the Milwaukee fan is if you're running hard or if you're hustling, they will give you the benefit of the doubt a little bit as guys build their career. To be in a city like that where they know you, and it's like if your average dips 10 points, they know it's not because you're tanking. And if it goes up, they appreciate it a little bit. Have you noticed that about Milwaukee in your time here? It's, man, if I put something into this and I develop, I can be an all-timer in this market in terms of how people feel about me.
Absolutely. That's one of the first things I noticed, especially in Appleton, my first year. I mean, I had a good year and stuff, but they do appreciate that hard work, that kind of balls to the wall type play, and that's kind of the player I am. That's something that I've always took pride in. There's times where they might think that you're dogging it. Like yesterday, I hit a pop up to left field, but there's somebody on first base. So there's no reason to run hard, and you're not going anywhere. So I just jogged down to first, and that might not have looked good from an outsider's perspective, but anybody that knows the game realizes what's going on. But there's situations where all you can control is your effort, and that's what I take pride in, and that's something I've done my whole life. So it was very comforting to me when I came up to know that, man, all I got to do is just go out there, play hard every day. The fans are going to appreciate it. If you play hard, if you work hard, the results will come. You're not always going to be on top of your game. You're not always going to be able to go 3 for 4 every night. And there's times where you'll line out, you've done everything right, and you're out. It's just a part of the game, and the fans in Milwaukee, they realize that. But like you said, they appreciate effort, and they appreciate guys that go out and play hard. And there's examples of that. Just in the past, the players that have came through, like Gennett and those type of guys that just every day just went hard and played their best, and the people here appreciate that, and we're very thankful, at least I am, and you don't see that everywhere, so it's very good.
And like the nature of baseball, and that was one of the themes Jonathan always came back to, is like the different night, how each night can be different. Like this week, nobody's hitting, it seems like, and all that, and then you're the 8th team in history to score since 1962 to score in every inning in a game. To put it together in one day, it is like baseball is such a weird. You can have a night where it looks like you've never played together before, and then the next night you're making all-timer type plays. With a young team, is it hard to remember that sometimes, that you're going to have a rough night, and you got to maybe make sure the younger guys, not that you're not young, remember? Yeah, that's how baseball is.
Yeah. I know when I first came up, if I didn't, get a hit or do my job in a certain situation, I was really down and upset with myself because, I let down my teammates and the fans. And, I've grown and realized that, just in the past few years, that you're not going to, be that guy that steps up that night. You just got to be able to control the defensive side. Those are things where mentally you're able to grow and you're able to adjust, and those are things that are needed. I mean, you're not always going to go 2 for 4, 1 for 4, but you're going to have an opportunity to go out and maybe make a play on defense to save a run. So those are things that I really take pride in now, and those are things that, the other night, a guy might have went 0 for 3 or 0 for 4, and you just pick them up. Like, hey, we'll get them tomorrow. But good job, good at bats. You try to find a positive out of maybe a terrible night. And that's what's important, especially in a long season, and just being around each other every day is being that guy that cares enough to go out of his way and pick somebody up and just let them know, like, hey, get them tomorrow, and just, good try today, like good effort, and that goes a long way.
Now, you and Craig Counsell, it's an interesting dynamic a little bit because you're similar players. He was a hard-nosed guy who worked hard, all that, but doesn't seem like anything makes him mad or get angry. I mean, you may see it that we don't. Like, his demeanor is a lot different than yours. What do you get out of playing a guy who, as a player, is similar, but as a human seems to be very different than you?
Yeah, there's definitely similarities. I mean, he was very focused, especially out on defense, and just throughout his whole career, he was very consistent in his mindset. And that's something that I look up to, is a guy that every day was consistent with his approach to the game. I mean, towards the end of his career, he had some rough patches offensively, but he didn't let that get to his defensive side of the game. And that's why he had the opportunities that he had to play, was because they know that they could trust that he was going to go out and play good defense and be focused. And that's something I look up to. And I wish I could be that kind of poker face guy when things aren't going well. But that's what a good manager does. They don't let one play, totally affect their demeanor, their attitude, and Counts does a really good job at that. And that's something that we're happy to play for a guy like that, because it kind of makes you uneasy when you mess up and you look in and the coach is all pissed, throwing stuff. That's just not what you see nowadays in our sport, and there's a reason for that. And I think that it's special that he already has that characteristic about himself, because this is his second year and first full season, and it's just really nice to see and really nice to play for.
If he were to lose it at some point, like he turns over a table or he's calling you, oh, sorry, okay. Oh. Okay, sorry about that.
Mine's out.
The other one decided to do it.
Okay, sorry about that. There we go. All right, got that. There we go. Yeah, his daughter's on my daughter's soccer team,
really?
And he just, she's obviously going to be a good athlete because his wife was like a superstar too. But even that was he just kind of hangs out, and he's just so understated about everything. Like, your daughter just scored her third goal of the game, and he's just like, oh, I'll let her know afterward, but I'm proud of her. It's like,
yeah.
So. All right, is he good? All right, but yeah, getting back to that, if he were to turn the tables and start screaming at you guys or do the Bull Durham lollygaggers thing, would you laugh, or would it be something like, oh man, we must have really messed up? Or what? I mean, is he capable, I guess, of just throwing it down and being angry with you guys?
I think everybody's got their boiling point, but he doesn't seem like the type of person that would really do that, just because that's not what's in the best interest of the player when it comes to development, or when it comes to just the team aspect. You just don't show that person that you're really, really upset with what they just did. You take them aside and let them know, hey, this isn't right. I'm gonna take you out of the game because you didn't do this right, or you did this wrong. And that's what a good manager does, and I wouldn't expect him to do anything like that, flipping over tables and stuff. But you never know. I mean, the game's crazy. The certain situations come up, and you just can't believe what happened. We're human, and we all have our boiling point, and we all make mistakes. So you never know. But I don't really expect anything like that to happen with Counts.
And how big is it for you guys to play to win, as opposed to, again, feel like I'm auditioning for myself a little bit? I mean, you're going to be in the midst of the pennant race. You got the Cubs next week, who maybe they're not even in a pennant race at this moment, but you're going to be facing teams that are trying to win their division, and other teams want you to play well against them. How important is it that it's not you selfishly trying to get an extra 4 or 5 stolen bases, or these deep types of things, that you take the winning aspect seriously from here?
Yeah, for me, I've always took that winning aspect. We unfortunately are in that situation where we're kind of in that rebuilding phase. I mean, even going into spring training, we had that label. But for me, I always take the winning approach. I mean, I can't show up and play and just play for myself and getting hits and stuff. I have to play the game to win, and there's just no other way for me to mentally prepare myself for a baseball game if I don't expect to win. And if I lose and I'm not upset about it and I'm just happy with how I did, then there's something wrong. That, you know, I need to look myself in the mirror and see what's going on. But you know, there's guys out there, there's guys in this game that do that thing, or do that stuff, and you know, it's just something that I don't really respect. And you know, those guys eventually will get weeded out, or you'll see them play for 25 different teams, and you know, there's a reason why. And it's just not the right attitude to have, and not the right way to go about life in general, especially when you're surrounded by a group of people or have that team thing going on. It's just important to work together and to expect to do good and expect to win.
When you see a guy, I mean, you all worked to get to where you are. It's like it was a lifelong dream for pretty much every guy. When you see it start to turn in a player, I mean, where maybe they don't value what they got, you know, and it maybe even starts to affect their play. Because we've had guys come through here who, when the Brewers were in last place 10, 12 years ago, it affected their joy in playing the game. When you see a guy do that, I mean, are you comfortable enough to say, you know, this is still a really cool job? I mean, are there guys that you would be able to just go up and talk to and say, remember what you got here, you know?
Yeah, like we said before, I mean, I have been here for a few years, but I'm really not that guy that, you know, that has 7 to 10 years that can just stand up and tell everybody to be quiet and listen. But I am the type of person that's not going to hold back something. There's just a time and a place. So, yeah, I mean, I might say something to somebody that, you know, might be older than me, and just kind of say what I have to say, and I think that's what good teammates do. That's what good people do in general. If you care about others, if you care about what's going on in other people's lives, and then you'll take that time to just be like, hey, I noticed this, or I noticed something a little different, and that's important, especially when it comes to building a team that's hopefully going to be in the playoffs every year, and you know, compete every day, and I'm definitely not the type of person to shy away from stuff like that. So yeah, I would say I would say that, and I think it's important too.
Yeah. Whose year has gotten you the most excited on this team? Like, I mean, obviously Junior's year until he got hurt. Jeffress was like, you know, a revelation. I mean, he had done well, but then became dominant. Is there somebody on this team this year like, wow, I maybe didn't envision that for that guy doing this year? Is there somebody just like, it was a great year because of that guy finding something special?
A couple guys. I would say, first off, not that I didn't expect him to have success, or either of these two guys, but Thornburg. I feel like Thorny's done an excellent job. I mean, he's been in different situations. He's been a normal relief guy, and then he's been the setup guy, and then now closing. And he's just been very consistent. I think he's had one tough outing, and that was in Minnesota earlier in the year when the one guy, the DH that they have, the Japanese guy, hit a ball like 500 feet to right field on a pitch that was off the plate, and it's just like, wow, like that, you know, and it wasn't even basically his fault. It wasn't a bad pitch. So, you know, he's had one hiccup. He's had a great year. He strikes out 1 or 2 guys every inning, it seems like, and I'm just really happy for him. He's in a point in his career similar to mine where at the end of the year, it really matters what your numbers look like, and when it comes to your future and earnings and stuff like that, it's a big year. So it's nice to see that he's had great success, and I don't think he's going to change from, you know, what he's been doing. So that's always good. And another one is Bronny. I feel like Bronny, not like I didn't expect him to do good. Obviously, he's got a good track record, but just the consistency in how he's played this year has been really amazing. I mean, none of us are getting any younger. And it's just amazing what he's been able to do offensively, how consistent he's been. And it's just like, wow, like this guy's really, really good. I mean, every day that he goes out, there might be a guy that, is really good on the mound, has a really good day, but he's able to fight off some pitches and then poke one in right field. And it's just like, man, like it just gives us something to work towards, like as hitters, as young guys, and just be like, man, like I need to mix that in my game. I need to be able to do stuff like that, because at this point in the year, at the end of the year, you look up and he's hitting 325 or whatever, and then you're hitting like 250, and it's like, what's the difference? And it's not so much all the home runs and that kind of stuff. It's the one at bat that day where he might have just put some ball in play that somebody else would have just swung through, and he has a hit, or he gets a hit every other day. Right. And at the end of the year, it's like, man, that's why he's as good as he is. That's why he's done what he's done in the big leagues, is because he just never gives in, and he's able to just put the bat on the ball. And also on the defensive side, he's made great plays. He's back in left field where I feel like he's more comfortable. And he's probably leading the league in putouts or assists in left field. So I think those two are the biggest for me. Obviously, VR's having a great year. He's always been a guy that hits and stuff and runs, so it didn't surprise me too much. But I would say Thorny and Bronny are the two that I'm really excited to come in every day and watch them play.
Is it a good message? Like, because you came into the year, people wondering, can he hit left-handers consistently? And you worked your tail off doing that. When you've got a guy like Ryan, could have settled for being a power-hitting left fielder, and that's it. I mean, he was a good athlete, but they put him in left field because they wanted him to focus on offense, basically, back in the day. He'd been a third baseman. That he kept working on stuff to get better at it. When a guy like you, well, he might be there's probably people that have said he'll be a really good platoon infielder. To have somebody out there, have guys like that around that don't just settle for what people expect from them, and you definitely have shown that this year. How big is that for a young guy, seeing guys that don't just settle for what people decide?
It's huge, and I think it boils down to how you're raised and the type of person that you are. It's hard to change that, especially as you continue to grow, and when you're an adult, it seems like things are kind of already set. So there's some things you can change, but for the most part, I mean, that you're just a fighter or you're not. And most of the time you see the guys that do have success, all the superstars in this game, they're all fighters. They don't give in, they don't quit, and that's what it takes to be successful. And I think it's not only impacts the team, but it also impacts all the people that are watching the game. Whether it's young kids or older people, it doesn't matter. It's like you see these guys out there, and you see how they go about their business and how they play the game and the effort that they put in, and hopefully it impacts one or two young kids at the game, and they take that into their life, whether that's in sports or whatever else. And ultimately, that's why the game of baseball, I think, is loved so much, because it impacts people's lives, and that's why I play the game. I play the game for one, it's fun, and it's a great job, but hopefully I can impact some kid's life, because when I was going to games when I was little, that's what I saw, and that's what I remember, and I think that's what's important. But when it comes to the lefties, for me, I mean, I've always thought I could hit them. I just never really had the opportunity, and that's where I mean, the credit goes to Counts. He's put me in there almost every day against them, and the other day I went up to him and I'm like, hey, I really appreciate the opportunity, because it's something I've never really had in the big leagues, and it ultimately has changed the way a lot of people think about me as a platoon guy or as an everyday player. And that's a big deal. It's definitely a big deal if you're not out there every day. That changes a lot about your value to the game. Whether it's the Milwaukee Brewers or whatever, any other team, it's important. And I definitely made sure that I thanked him for that opportunity.
And finally, it's you mentioned kids, making an impact on kids, maybe sending that message of how you carry yourself and all that. Was there a moment you realized I handled that with class, that made a difference with somebody, or, ooh, I got a little angry, and you look over and you see a 4-year-old in the front row, I better not do that? I mean, have there been moments where you catch yourself like, oh, here's what I want to do, but I've got to carry myself a certain way?
Absolutely. Like I said before, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Me being a Christian person, it's important for me to not only be the best person I could be, but also not on this stage, on this platform, embarrass myself or it's just not a good look. It's not a good look for what I believe in. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for my family. There was a time when we were in St. Louis. In St. Louis, they have those mics like right there, so you can like hear everything, like the pop of the mid, or if someone says something loud, you can hear. And one game, this is a few years back, I hit the ball and I said a cuss word, which just came out, and that's something that I think about all the time and work on, and it's gotten a lot better since that point. And my mom texted me right after the game, and she's like, "I can't believe you said this. Like, your family's always watching the game, and all the kids that are watching the game, and the people that were at the game, and you let down so many people." And I'm just like, man, like it's just so much bigger than that one at bat and that one swing. So there's been some times where I've realized what I've done, or someone has to remind me, and those things are important. I mean, like I said before, we all have our boiling points, but those instinctual things that just pop up and happen, they take some time. And as long as you're focused on them and work at it, anything can be fixed. So I definitely have been there, and hopefully that stuff doesn't happen again. But it's a big deal. There's a lot of kids. There's a lot of people out there that look up to you, and it's just never a good thing if you make them upset, or something that could maybe ruin someone's day.
And you're still scared of your mom?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Watch the complete interview on my24milwaukee.com.